This week in gaming, Sony gives the PS virtual reality to the boot. Dragon Age reveals classes and factions, and PS3 games might be coming to the PlayStation 5. This is the NerdCave News, and I am one of your hosts, joined by, in the land of Aldaria, a noble knight led a ragtag group of magical beings, a sprite, a wizard, a werewolf, and a fairy, on a quest to defeat an evil lord, Maldrake, who enslaved the poor. Through the treacherous forest, the daunting mountains, they united to restore peace and free the oppressed. That knight was none other than Sir Elaine of Reddingham.
Interesting. At first I thought it was going to be like a Lord of the Rings, but then I got more like Dragon Age with the different classes. So I'm just like, okay, he's just going full fantasy epic. I like it.
I didn't go full fantasy epic. Amy went full fantasy epic. So
that's right. She is. She is the brains behind the operation.
I'm just exactly. I'm the pretty face, you know.
You pretty something. Don't know
pretty
what.
Amazing.
But, all right.
So, Sir Elaine of Reddingham, Ilion. Is it Ilion?
Yeah, I think it's Elliot or Elion or Elion.
What? Alien.
Okay. So, those of you who have been around for a while, guys, and who remember the name rankings from last year, know that I very much like titles like Godslayer, High King, the Great Wizard.
Anything that fluffs Derek's ego, he's all about.
Oh, I have no ego, sir. Come on, I have no ego. If anything, you have the ego, Mister. Oh, look who wins E3 every year.
Well, when you got it, you got it. You know what I mean? Just saying.
So I'm gonna have to put this. Ooh, I thought I knew what I was gonna have because let's see, top 5. We got Marconius Dracon, the Great Wizard, High Goblin King Gilgamesh, Maxwell Mindreach Stone, and Aurelius Thorn, and Raphael Torres, aka El Lobo. I don't know if I like it more than El Lobo, because that is a pretty rad name, and I'm gonna have to put it right below. I'm gonna have to put that as the new number 6.
Okay, well, there you go. New number 6. I don't have my board. There's stuff in the way right
now. Sounds like excuses, sir.
Sounds like a Derek.
Wow.
Am I right, everybody?
Wow. Right?
Yeah. This episode of the Nerd Cave News is brought to you by the Epic Game Store, where you can support us by using creator code NerdCave at checkout. Also, Coffee, Brand Coffee, and our wonderful patrons, but more on that later. A little bit of housekeeping for everybody. This coming up Saturday, we are going to be doing our second Eat Sleep anime show at 12 p.m. Central Time.
Whoop, whoop.
Over on patreon.com/nerdcave. I'm really, really excited for this. I want y'all to be there. I want y'all to be a part of it. And Derek doesn't know anything about this. Okay. I'm pulling a little audible here. We're going to open this up to anybody that joins over on Patreon, even the free membership for this episode. Okay, So if you want to go over there and see Eat Sleep Anime 2 weeks before all the people over on YouTube get to see it, you need to go over to patreon.com/nerdcave. You can support us. You can go give us some dollars, make Derek holler. You know what I mean? Or you can join on the free membership. This is the only episode of Eat Sleep Anime that will be streamed for free over on patreon.com.
Call Zach the Summer Santa because he's giving gifts in the summer year.
Ho, ho, ho. So 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, we are going to be doing that. So come, because guys, I want to tell y'all something.
Mm-hmm.
Zach's been eating.
Oh yeah. So I've been binge watching a little bit here and there when I can. So we gonna have plenty to talk about on Saturday.
A ton to talk about. I just started Delicious in Dungeon, and I got Amy watching it now as well. I am caught up on Demon Slayer. Oh, we got a lot. We got a lot to talk about. I'm caught up on the dub of My Hero. We getting stuff done. We getting stuff done. So y'all got to be there. Go over to patreon.com/nerdcave. Join. You can get a free membership over there, and you will be able to watch 2 weeks early of Eat Sleep Anime. So do it. Do it. Marilyn's like, wow. The ending of the last Demon Slayer. I know, Dan. I know. Derek doesn't know anything about it because he ain't watching that sub. Watching that sub. I was like, I'm tired of waiting. Because my God, it's been out for weeks. And it's like, oh, a dub is available for the first episode. And I go, French. I'm like, what the crap is this? It's like, is everybody like now Kaiju number 8 is like being delayed on the dub for like several weeks after it's been like day and date. I'm like, okay, is everybody just like hold up in the Kaiju number 8? Like,
they got too many conventions to go to.
So Saturday,
you got a Parlez-vous Français. So like
I was like, I'll watch the Japanese. I watch the Japanese, and we'll have a good old time. See, Dan coming over here with the subs are superior. It depends on the anime. I really feel like it. Now I will say Death Note way better in subs than dub, because the dub is awful. But yeah, I would like, most of the time I'm doing multiple things, so I will go for dub over sub. But we can talk more about that Saturday over on Eat Sleep Anime. And if you've got a suggestion for the main topic of the show, which is the Kage Summit, put that in the chat, because Derek and I are looking for a topic of the show, which we'll be doing the Kage Summit. And
I have several swimming around in my head. I got to decide which I want to settle on.
Well, I don't settle, Derek. I go beyond. I go plus ultra, as some would say.
It'd just be better with the soundboard, but you chose to be lazy.
I chose to have you on the show, Derek. That's
okay. I'll remember that.
You coming with fire, you gonna get burnt. Now,
Derek, I'll just get Todoroki to chill me out.
Yeah. Too bad I got Dobby on my side. Anyway, Derek, let's jump into the segment that we know and love. What's up, Mikey? What have you been playing?
So I'm glad you asked that, because I made a conscious effort this week, because I have, with all, the fall of gaming is fast approaching us, whether we like it or not. It's coming. NCAA or College Football 25 is only a few weeks away. So your boy has to get some things in order and like finish stuff before he starts new games, because your boy has a bad habit of that. So I made a conscious effort. I played through a chunk on Tuesday morning, afternoon, and then I finished it today, even taking an impromptu nap because your boy was tired. I finished Hogwarts Legacy finally. So it ended really well. The final fight was, big flashy boss battle, but the stages were good. It was tolerable. It wasn't like the whole button mashy thing, even though you are technically firing the trigger with your common spell. But it wrapped up nicely. What I figured would happen would happen. Professor Fig gets 86 miles
Thanks
pointer.
for ruining that.
You've had plenty of time to finish it. That it's on you now. I have no qualms about that.
Okay, well, I'll ruin some Demon Slayer stuff
No,
for you.
that's not the same.
LeBron James shows up
With the Monstars, right? In Space Jam 3.
Yeah, but they're all demons. He got tricked.
Nice.
Yeah.
But no. Where was I going? But yeah, no, it wrapped up nice. I did a bunch of the side quests, wrapped up a lot of like the quests, like the major quest lines, like Sebastian. I didn't really see. I guess I chose the wrong thing because I didn't learn the last unforgivable curse. Don't know if that was a glitch or what. So,
oh man, you got to be pure evil.
Yes, I know. Coming from Lord Vader himself over here.
Yeah, man.
Poppy, I really liked her wrap up, and Natty, I really liked her wrap up. So the 2 out of the 3 were done really well. But I don't know if I want to see, after spending all this time with it, I don't know if I want a sequel. It's one of those where if they do like a sequel or something in that same universe, I'll give it a shot. But if they don't, I'm also content for how it ended as well.
Do you really think that WB is going to let that thing lie?
No, it won't. I know it won't. So because they're money grubbers, and with all the rumors we're hearing about how troubled Wonder Woman is, I doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah, I definitely think that we will get more of Harry Potter. I know we're getting the Hogwarts, not Hogwarts, but the Quidditch Championship and everything, which looks interesting. That's all I can say on that side of things. But I wish they would have put it in the actual game instead of parsing it off into another game.
Yeah.
But Hogwarts Legacy still sold the best out of everything in 2023. So
true.
For me, I would not mind another game. I would like a little bit deeper combat because I felt like yes, you have people with different shields or whatever, but I would like a little bit deeper combat system within the whole universe.
Because especially since like they have like the tentacular plant, the mandrake and all that, like sometimes I would use it, but especially if it was like a dueling feat or something that there was like a requirement to learn a spell to fill out your spell tree, sure, but it didn't ever feel like I was challenged enough to swap between my spells and my items.
Yeah. And that's the items are cool, but I feel like it's a forgotten thing as you get into it.
True.
It's like, oh yeah, I still got 5 mandrakes, or there was like a Chinese chomping plant or something like that. It's just like you forget about those things because they're tucked into some random menu and all of that.
Right. And I was going to say too, like, you get your mounts, and there was a cool mount you get at the toward the last a couple missions before the end, like the last pensive memory you go to, you get to do a very cool thing where you get to ride like a very interesting beast and
a dragon.
No, I wish.
Oh, then it ain't cool enough for me, dog.
Well, to each their own, but no, it was cool. But like the mounts, like compared to the broom, like I just went to the broom every time. Like I wish there was incentive to use the mounts. Like it's like, oh, if you want to fly and get in this area, you can only use mounts, or you can only use, make you feel like you have to swap between the mounts to make them interesting too.
Oh, okay, I see what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like the Thestral is pretty cool. But yeah, like it doesn't feel like it is. The only thing that is nice is with the mounts, they don't tire compared to using the broom. So like you have like the boost.
True. Oh yeah, like your initial boost. I'm just like, I don't know. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
The boost on the broom, like it would restore, but on the mount, like you can just keep going at a solid speed and everything. But
True.
I don't think it like they don't upgrade like the broom does.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
So
they don't have an upgrade path, and even the broom, like you got to earn those upgrades. And I'm just like, I
yeah,
don't know if I want to waste my time with this because
yeah. There's like again, this game it's been out for over a year now. There's a
right.
lot to do, but it feels like it is a like Harry Potter fans like dream come true where
True.
you're getting a ton of stuff to do, but there's not a ton of depth. There's not a lot of depth
True.
to the game and the gameplay. It's once you learn it and you like, oh, I'm comfortable doing this, you just keep doing X, Y, and Z over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, dude, I am so glad, Sir Elaine of Reddingham, that you have finished Hogwarts Legacy. Now you're in 2023. Uh, but I'm assuming your next game is going to be College Football 25.
True, it will be, but I've got a couple weeks, so I'm going to try. I don't know how successful I'll be, but I'm going to try and go through a Plague Tale Requiem.
Okay, yeah, that would be perfect. Like,
yeah,
for that amount of time that you have. Yeah, I love that game. It is so good, and I can't wait for you to actually get to play it and then us to get to talk about it. I want to say Dan played it as well, and he liked it. So I'm ready for you to get with Amicia and the rest of the gang and see what happens because it gonna wreck you. Let me just say, it gonna wreck you. Guys, let us know what you've been playing it down in the comments below. Again, Saturday, 12 p.m. Central Time, Eat Sleep Anime. We're going to be doing it over patreon.com/nerdcave. Go get a free membership over there and watch us. The only time you're going to get a free episode.
Don't say we never gave y'all anything.
Yeah. 2 weeks early from all the YouTube people. So go over there, support it. And if you don't catch the live show, you could still watch it for 2 weeks before it comes out for everybody else. So go do it. Dan says, oh, yeah, I finished it. It was good. Talking about Plague Tale. Plague Tale? Requiem?
Plague Tale?
All right, guys, let's get into the gaming discussion for the week. First up.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before you start that, don't just skate by that question. What have you played?
I've been playing the game called I've Watched Tons of Anime.
Oh, really? So Anime Simulator is what you're saying.
Yeah. I've also been playing YouTube Simulator where I make videos and I upload them. And then I make fun of people for complaining that Elden Ring is so hard.
That's true. I did see you upload that. I'm like, interesting take because he hates those games too.
Oh, I like they're interesting. I wish I could play them, but it's the whole. I don't know if you watched Car Thoughts, probably didn't because Derek doesn't support the things that I love.
Oh
but
my god!
Nonetheless, the shoe fits, my friend. The shoe fits.
I did watch one of your Car Thoughts.
Yeah, which one?
The one about like your anime recommendation one. Like how to get started in anime.
I don't remember that one, but okay, I'll take your word on it.
I'll pull it up 2024.
Later. Okay, cool. But I don't even remember where I was going.
Gaming discussion.
Yeah, I haven't played anything. My hand is still acting up, so I've limited the amount of play time. I haven't played since I played Star Wars Hunters. Which has been a couple weeks now, and it really sucks.
Yeah.
So
you got that itch.
I got the itch. There are a lot of things that I do want to check out and play. There's some stuff that's coming to Game Pass that I want to check out. There's some indie games, and then college football that's coming out very, very soon. So
let's go.
I'm excited for that. I'm gonna have to whoop Derek, with the Florida Gator, playbook.
Yeah, no, he's gonna select Wyoming and play with Florida Gator playbook.
Yeah, Weeb Simulator 2024 is what I've been really playing on. um, is that why we haven't been having Tuesday streams lately? That's part of it. Like my hand just can't take it, and I've been really working hard at work, so just haven't had the bandwidth, unfortunately, to do anything more than just car thoughts and this stream. So,
Yeah.
but let's get into why we're all here. The gaming discussion. Ex Destiny and Halo producer says live service is better for developers and players.
If toxic takes were a thing, this would be the headline, like. So Jean-T Barnes, former producer of Destiny and Halo, advocates for live service models in gaming. Barnes believes live service games benefit both developers and players. He cites the ability to continuously update and improve games as a key advantage. Live service games offer ongoing revenue streams supporting long-term development and player engagement. So why this sort of matters is live service games have become prevalent in the gaming industry from Destiny, Warzone, Fortnite, and more. Not all survive, but when developers commit to the game longevity, then the players will be more apt to spend time and money on those games. And to play devil's advocate, I do get it from like a financial standpoint because it's like more money coming in to for the devs' pockets. And yes, will a mass majority of the casual player base drop off after like the first week or two when they realize it's just a grind fest? Of course. But for the hardcore people who are really into this, really into those type of games, they will invest no matter what, unless the game is just trash. But this is still a terrible take, in my opinion, because again, as I just mentioned about why it matters, a lot of these live service takeoffs don't make it past the initial starting points, and you only have a few that survive. Now, yes, does that mean you don't try and be the next Warzone, be the next Fortnite? No, I mean, it is, if you really are passionate, have a lot of people that know what they're doing, have a backing of the board of directors that will make sure that you are making the game, not just trying to pad their pockets. Of course, you can fully commit to this because you're actually not just there to be a statistic. At the other hand, it's like you're hampering people by saying like what if those devs don't want to commit to that game long term? Like saying like, all right, we'll see this game through, but I want to make a narrative driven game, an open world game, like stuff that isn't always, I don't want to be stuck doing nothing but live service. So are you going to risk hampering your own talents or have those other devs hold back the talents of their team just to commit to live service because they're quote unquote better for everyone?
Yeah, I would be curious to see and hear from devs that have worked on live service games and how long they stay at those jobs. Like, again, we both know, and everybody that's watching this, if you're watching this, more than likely you were either my wife or really into gaming. But the makeup of the gaming industry, like jobs are really hard to come by. I don't think a lot of people are leaving because they don't like their job at this point, because there's grass is not always greener on the other side. But before all of these layoffs, I'm wondering like how many would leave, let's say a Destiny or a Warzone, to go work on something that they're actually passionate about.
Right.
Because when you get down to it, games are art, and when you are just doing droll stuff, you're just pumping out more of the same things, eventually you get worn down. So I'm wondering how that is into play and everything, and I see where this is coming from. Yes, it's nice when a developer actually puts in the time and effort to continually update and add to the game, but we've had that even before live service games. You look at old Call of Duty, they put out map packs and you bought those map packs. They put out new weapons, you bought those weapons. It's not something that is foreign to anyone, but live service has gotten to this point where it's all about cosmetics or these randomly sparse events to try to push even more cosmetics. It's based around getting more money from the player. And yes, they'll update things. They'll, tweak the meta and all of that. And most of the time they'll break the game and then take, a month to fix the game. And then the next update will be time to break the game again. Warzone is really known for this.
I was going to say, are you taking a shot at Halo Infinite?
Man, the Mauler used to be just so good. But for me, there are games that I think would lend themselves to a live service really well. And it's not the ones that people are thinking of. I was listening to Kind of Funny, and they brought up Gary Whitta and Greg were on today, and they brought up Animal Crossing, where we only got one actual like DLC pack, and that's been it.
Yeah.
And how amazing would it have been to continually put out more content for Animal Crossing? And because we've seen it with Mario Kart, and for the longest time we didn't get anything, and then they started putting out the packs, the track packs and everything.
Right.
And it's like, why isn't Animal Crossing getting this? Because Animal Crossing sold boo-koodles, and I know people love that game, but there's not anything to do after you've done it so many times. And it's like, that would be a perfect game for, quote unquote live service, where you're putting new things out there, every few months you're putting something new, some sort of new fruit might go in or whatever, like something to make people want to go back in there, invest in that. And I'm not saying like it's got to be, a season pass for Animal Crossing or whatever, but it can even be like the DLC that it was, but just more of that, I think would lend to itself really, really well. Another, Ghost of Tsushima.
True, with you talking about the Legends mode?
I'm not even talking about Legends mode. I'm talking about like, what if, something unlocked, or there was another push from the Mongols or some new troops or whatever, like it would just make you want to go back into the game. And I love that game, and I played it for a very, very long time. But it's just something where it's like it draws you back into that world because you want to live in those worlds. Destiny used to, Halo used to, but it's like these games are just multiplayer. But I think there is a live service component that could be done well in single player games.
True. And again, it has to be from the backing. Like the devs have to be, like the leadership has to be on board with it, and not just pushing numbers. And then the board of directors that are the ones who get the most reward out of it. Like Bobby Kotick wouldn't care. Like he would just be like, how much money will it make me? That's it. That's all I care about. So as long as the board of directors are on with it too, and like believe in the vision, because I mean, you talking about interview some of these devs that were have been part of live service. First thing that came to mind was Naughty Dog. Like they canceled their live service game, and it's just like, what were the devs' thoughts on it, like going into it, and then post cancellation? It's like, what were their thoughts on it? Were they upset? Were they relieved? Like like it's just a thing. And again, it could work because there are some games that you can consider like they're mainly single player that like with DLC support and like just common updates. Like I know like New Game Plus, like they have a roadmap now. Like with God of War, there was a photo mode that got added. Then there was New Game Plus that was added later on. So there is like inklings of it here and there, but it's not full on. So I would like to see it, but just to rejuvenate, because again, there's always this debate. It's like, do we make it with a long tail to get people to, not just beat it in a weekend, then take it back to GameStop and get $5 for it after spending 70. But versus is like, look, we want to make a very, like, we want to tell our story, make a very thought-provoking experience, make it a very, enjoyable experience or heart-wrenching experience, depending on the story you're telling. And then that's it. Like, yes, there might be some people who take months to play it. There might be some people who beat it in a weekend, but as long as they enjoy it, that's all we care for. So it's about finding that balance. You know what I mean? Like, again, and it comes back down to make the game tell the story that you want to. Like, don't just copy and paste just because it's making money for this outlier, or it's just because it's the new hip trend that everyone is jumping on board with.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And to your point, I think one of the games that did this really well is actually an older game at this point is Witcher 3. Like they kept putting out
True.
content for
Yeah.
that game that was not just little things, but it was
Hmm.
large. And
Yeah.
yes, Cyberpunk has done the same thing, but
Hmm.
it went through its own thing. But Baldur's Great Gate 3 was another instance of them
True.
continuing put more stuff out. I think if Larian would have stayed on, there would be getting even more content, which again, they did support it for a very, very long time. And they're
Hmm.
finishing up a few things before moving on. But it's when you get these games that like Witcher 3, I want to say had 2 to 3 DLCs that added so much to that game.
Yeah.
And that is a season pass to me. When you really get down to it, it's like
Yeah.
you get 2 big expansions put on this, and it might in between those, you might get little things added to there.
Hmm.
I know Starfield is doing some of this with Shattered Space. They're,
Yeah.
a DLC or whatever that's more like the old Bethesda and everything. But I think single player games can really go from um you know a ton of different things. And
Well,
yeah.
and you're kind of seeing it too, right? Like I know Sony has, toyed with the idea of like Horizon, right? Like they did, like because with Spider-Man, shortly about a month after the game, they dropped the 3 DLC packs a month in, and it only extended it to like December, and then that was it. But with Sony, it was just like, hey, we're gonna drop Forbidden West, and
Hmm.
then a year later they're going to drop the Burning Shores DLC, and then another year later they're going to drop the complete edition with everything. So it's like that they're trying to find some to curtail it in like it do their own thing, but I think there still can be some tweaking, obviously. And I know like with God of War was another one, right? Like Ragnarok came out, then a year later Game Awards they shadow dropped Valhalla DLC.
Hmm.
So they're kind of doing this where and it's not like every month per se or every couple of months like how other studios are doing it. They're like, hey, these big narrative games, let's find a way to get you back into it. And it's like not just get you like either to and it might be a twofold thing. It's like it's either a reason to boot up the game again if it's just sitting there on your shelf, or it's a way to where, let's say, if it's been over a year since those games dropped. Let's say you beat it, turned it back in, got sold it, whatever you did, and then they dropped this new DLC, which is actually going to be really good because, like
Hmm.
Burning Shores was a substantial piece of DLC. Valhalla, we thought was just going to be a roguelike mode. It ended up being a lot more, narrative
Yep.
wise. So people probably went out and bought that game again, so that gave a new influx of cash, to Sony. So there is ways to do it. It's just, again, like we've been talking about, make sure it makes sense for you and just try and find that balance of where it makes sense for what you want to do with that series.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Let's move on, Derek, into some Dragon Age Velgard news. The classes and factions have been released. So, Derek, tell me a little bit about it.
So from the classes, you can choose between the 3 major ones are going to be Rogue, Mage, and Warrior, which we kind of saw in the Summer Game Fest trailer. So they each have subclasses that you can break down, or builds, is a better term. So the Rogue, you can make it a Duelist, a Saboteur, or a Veil Ranger. Mage, you can make it a Death Caller, Evoker, or Spellblade. And Warrior, you can make it a Reaper, Slayer, or Champion. The other factions include the Grey Wardens and Tivin Crows, Mornwatch, Shadow Dragons, Lords of Fortune, and Veil Jumpers. And the customization is detailed options for physical appearance, class, and faction. So, why the big picture of why it matters? The class choices will shape the gameplay and story, emphasizing unique character development and narrative integration. So, I'll tell you off the bat, the Death Caller for the Mage class sounds dope and sounds very metal.
Yeah.
Like if I do pick up this game, I might be a Death Caller.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's like their necromancer class.
I wonder, because it seems like they each one almost has one. Because I know the Warrior, like the Reaper, I feel like that's their Necromancer version as well.
Yeah. I want to see these in action. I want to see these like breaking down the factions. The first game we played is a Grey Warden. The second game we weren't necessarily a Grey Warden. We were just kind of a fighter of sort. But seeing that there is more to choose from, I think that's going to be really cool. And any of these games that are coming from BioWare, like having the ability to craft your character and all of that, but it affect the story, I think, is the thing that everybody wants. We want to see the story actually be impacted by our actions and our choices.
Well, and you see it too in other ones like Bethesda and like with Outer Worlds, like in Fallout you get to choose to be a faction, and then in Outer Worlds you got to align yourself with a faction, and those have ramifications for how you play.
Mhm. Yeah, and BioWare I'm curious how this game is going to go, but
Yeah.
Was the king of this realm of things. So I know when we saw the gameplay a few weeks ago now, it was not the most impressive. I felt like them using the rogue was, and I think it was a duelist. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
Veil Ranger or anything interesting. I felt like it was kind of blasé in the presentation, but I know some people are really excited about it. They're like, yeah, it plays really well. So I think once we get it into our hands, we'll know more about it. I definitely want to see more of these in action.
I do have a question about the factions because you said in the first one you got to play as a Grey Warden.
Mhm.
You don't have to give a detailed breakdown of each one, obviously, but just give us like a broad overview of just some of the factions that like story wise, like just the ones that matter. Or like, do you see any of these like having implications on the story?
So I'm gonna be honest. The only one that I recognize is Grey Warden on
Oh,
this list.
really?
I think a lot of these are new, to be
Oh,
honest. Um, Again, I didn't play Inquisition all the way through. I started, but I didn't go all the way
yeah.
through. The Grey Wardens are the only ones like they literally drink like the blood. If I'm remembering this right, it's been 10 plus years since I played the first one.
Yeah.
Um, but you have to go through this ritual and you essentially like drink the blood of a demon of sorts, and you get the power to be able to kill them because you're like the only ones that can actually kill
Oh,
them. So that's what I remember of Grey Wardens,
I
but
like
the
a
other
good
ones
Tolkien
I don't
storyline.
remember. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, kind of anime-esque in a way
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I'm down for this, having the different ones, which I'm assuming will get you different perks or
Oh,
something
yeah.
to go along with that. So I'm down for it. The Veil Jumpers, I want to know more about that because I know that is, it's literally in the name is Veil Guard.
Oh, yeah. I'm
So
sure that's a faction made for this one.
yeah, so I'm down for this, and what everybody else should be down for is some coffee brand coffee. You can have some exceptional quality coffee with no gimmicks and no politics. Nearly 4,000 verified views, and most of those are 5 out of 5. There's 12 coffee blends, 12 organic teas, 3 hot cocoa flavors, and cold brew and K cups for your convenience are available. So go check these out. They're high quality. It is literally roast to order. So the freshness is guaranteed. So you don't have to worry about getting something that's just it ain't good. It's been sitting on the shelf. It's stale, all that stuff. So make sure to elevate your coffee game today with Coffee Brand Coffee. Use code NerdCave at checkout or the link in the description below to get 5% off your order. Derek,
Drinking
are you
coffee
ready?
is great for anime binging.
It is. Derek does it all the time.
Only when I have to.
Only when he has to. And when he does, he drinks coffee. Guys, let's jump into the PlayStation news. This one, we could see this coming from a mile away.
Right. You
Rumor,
must say.
yeah. Rumor has it that the PlayStation VR 2 funding is being significantly cut by Sony.
Gee, it's almost as if like we knew, like We had a trend going that we could see this writing on the wall way before
Yeah.
even Sony could. So only 2 first-party games are currently in development, and Sony is pushing the PSVR 2 PC adapter launch to August. There has been no official announcement from Sony, and developers have expressed concerns about the future of VR titles, and the market performance and consumer interest might be influencing this decision. So, why it matters is the PSVR 2 has had a horrible launch, mainly because of the price point of $600 or $550, I think it is. Is if funding is cut, PlayStation could be stepping away from developing further VR hardware in the future. This could allow them to focus more on products like the PlayStation Portal, which has sold well since its release. And we see that when PlayStation does handhelds right, they succeed. So I think the Portal would be the way to go. But again, Zach, this is no surprise. Like again, this is not. It's only in the rumor phase. It's not confirmed, but if there's a breadcrumb trail, it more than likely, especially when it comes to the rumors about Sony, it's more than likely true. So I'm not surprised by this. Like again,
No.
Horizon Call of the Mountain was a good start, but then again, just like with the Vita, rest in peace. It doesn't live anymore. Contrary to what Zach will tell you.
The Vita lives, man.
Sure. In the graveyard. But no, it's no surprise because again, we saw it with the PSVR 1 where it and PSVR 1 had better support,
Yep.
but after a while it stopped and people got disinterested. And I think I'm not saying it was a bad idea from the PSVR 1 for Sony to invest in this, but I think and I know they owe themselves a chance to try and get better tech, especially with the PS5. Like they took a lot of PS5 features with the controller and the tracking and all that and integrated it into the headset. And it was a nice piece of tech, just like the Vita. However, like we've seen time and time again, if you don't support it, no one will care.
Yep.
And again, like doing the PC adapter thing, cool. Like I think the market is so dominated by meta that I think it's just like Fortnite in the live service space. I think it's just one of those things where you just got to take the L and just let the top dog be the top dog and just let it ride. So and it's like even like games that have shown up for PSVR are not exclusive. So like these third party games like Alien is coming to the meta. I want to say the Batman game Arkham game is coming to the meta as well as a meta exclusive.
Yeah.
So, like, you lost out on that opportunity because one of your launch titles for the PSVR 1 was a Batman game. So, I don't know. I am sad because I know there were some people who really love this kind of tech that developed it, but at the same time, it's also nice to. And again, there's also the price point. When you make it more expensive than the console, and then you have to buy the console in order to play it, it's too much of an investment.
Yeah, 100%. Like you are well over $1,000. The 600 is if you get the Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle. The base is the 549 version of it. But when you're having to invest that much, and then you only get one game, which of course it is a fairly good game, but it's about the only good game on the console that is a Sony exclusive.
Yeah,
it's like I could spend 300 or whatever for a MetaQuest 3 or get even a MetaQuest 2 and be able to play more games, like you're
not
not
have
stuck.
to buy an extra console.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, it coming to the PC, I think, is a good thing, but I don't think it's going to necessarily move a ton of units, especially if they're not putting more games onto that. And anytime Sony doesn't support their systems, they don't support their whatever it is, no one else is going to do that. Like, yes, the Vita had a ton of awesome indie games and games that came on there because of Geo Corsi, but eventually it dried up because Sony was not putting any kind of money or development into games after the launch of it. And that's what we're seeing again with the PlayStation VR 2 is it's done. Like they're like, okay, we're going to move on,
And it's sad that the Vita had a longer lifespan than the VR 2.
hey, it was more successful.
Right.
You know what I mean? It is what it is. So like, I hate it because I think the PSVR 2 is an interesting piece of tech, but when you've got other things that are completely wireless that have better games on it and don't cost an arm and a leg, you are literally going into a gunfight with nothing.
With no bullets.
Yeah, you've got a toothpick to go into a gunfight, and it, you know, I want I want PlayStation to be successful. I want everybody to be successful, but it's like the corporate thought behind this is like it just doesn't make any sense.
So my question now is obviously, at the end they talked about maybe they'll invest more in Portal. I have a twofold question. One, do you think that they will invest in the Portal like they should, or turn their focus to the Portal as their other piece of tech because it has been selling well? And two, do you think that after they got this out of their system and made this venture into VR, do you think now that after it not doing so well for them, they go back to maybe doing the handheld space again?
Like, are you talking about like a fully like fleshed
Yeah,
out handheld
yeah,
standalone, not like a streaming thing?
right.
I do feel like they're going to put more into the Portal. We might see something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think we see maybe like the Portal is pretty affordable because it's like 250 if I remember correctly. So it's
Yeah.
not awful. I would like to see it to be under 200. That would be great if they could get it down to that price. I would also like them to make it where you could use Bluetooth headphones. So there's like just little things that they could do to improve the Portal.
Yeah.
Yes, like it would be nice to be able to do kind of like xCloud where you're just accessing your games and it's streaming and you're not having to tether it to your PlayStation 5. And I think if they did something like that, it would sell really, really well. But they don't have the infrastructure
No.
for that. Unfortunately, we've seen it with PlayStation Now. Back in the day, they tried that and it did not go well for them. So I think it's something where yeah, they're totally out of the VR game after this is done. Like they're not going to make another headset, but I do feel like they're going to continue to iterate on the Portal.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, and this other question popped up to me. I don't know what it would be. Um, but do you think they try and get in some other type of space or like do a whole nother piece of like tech? Just whatever it could be. I don't know. Don't have any ideas. Like, do you think they tried something else in the tech space beside a console?
Um, like Sony as a company is very large,
Yeah.
so like they have their TVs, they have movies and all of that. So I do feel like they've got the tech side of thing pretty well handled if they
Yeah.
want to do something like that. For the PlayStation division, though, I feel like they are going to kind of just ride out the rest of this cycle.
Consoles. Yeah.
Like we'll get a PS5 Pro. We just got the Slim, and
Yeah.
I think they just ride it out. Like I don't see why they should take unmitigated risk at this point to try something. It's like just ride it out, get your next system working amazing, and try to get it as cheap as you possibly can. Like go
Yeah.
ahead and make that R&D process in full motion. Then in that, put the gimmicks, put something interesting in
Yeah.
the PS6 or whatever. Like that's where I want to see that. I don't want to see another thing come out and it just do poorly.
Right.
Again, PlayStation Portal did well, but I don't want to see another offshoot this generation.
Yeah. Agreed. So
Yeah. Let's move on. Rumor Sony is working on select PlayStation 3 backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 5. And this is backed up by the man himself, Jeff Grubby Grubb.
which when it comes to at least PlayStation news, this man ain't missed so far, and he's kind of implementing himself like he's becoming the new Jason Schreier, where if he says something, take it to the bank. Info from Xbox Era's podcast, Nick Baker, of all places. Currently, PS3 games on PS5 are streamable via PS Plus Premium. The PS3's complex architecture complicates direct emulation. Focus on high demand titles is expected. Enhanced versions of popular PS3 games may be prioritized, and no official confirmation from Sony yet. So, why it matters, the date of PS3 support on PS5 could address long standing gamer demands and boost PS5's market appeal, potentially drawing in nostalgic fans and enhancing the console's versatility. So I think it would be great. Like, I know they kind of do the backwards compat thing with PS4, but it's just like, hey, just put your game disc in and you can play it. It's pretty much what it is. But having PS3 emulate, and I would wonder, obviously they can't do anything with the disc drive, but I would like to see if it'd be more stable infrastructure with that, how they would implement that. But also it'd be cool just to get a breath of fresh air and go back to some of the PS3 games we missed because, and again, it sold way more successful than the Wii U. Don't get me wrong when I'm about to make this comparison. But it's almost like the Wii U where there were games just lost in the ethos because of like the struggles, like infrastructure wise with the online and like the first PS3 just being way too expensive for the at the time it came out at, and especially in an economic depression, and I don't know. I feel like some of the games got lost through the cracks, just like the Wii U. But when the Switch came out and it was successful, a lot of those games got ported over and found new life and found a new audience over there. So I feel like if you did something like this, like maybe not remasters, because I don't think Sony wants to invest too much in remasters that far back anyway. And so I think it would be good in that aspect. I just want to know how the infrastructure would fare because, as we all know, Sony's online infrastructure ain't that great. It ain't Nintendo, but it ain't great either.
Yeah, it's definitely not on the level of Xbox side of things. I looked up the sales number for the PlayStation 3, and for worldwide sales, there were 87.4 million sold, and that is pretty good for like that console generation. I feel like gaming was starting to take off, and again, the end of the life cycle definitely had more sales than the beginning because it was outrageously expensive at the beginning of things. That's why the 360 actually was selling better, and then PlayStation overtook it at the end. But I do agree. I feel like a lot of games have gotten stuck on that console just because, like I don't remember the last time someone brought up Resistance.
True.
And it was a big franchise for PlayStation back then.
Yeah.
And it's like, does Resistance have a place in 2024? I don't know if it does, to be honest. The Killzone games, the older Killzone games, Killzone 3 would have been the one that was on PlayStation 3, from what I remember. So
it was also on PS3, I think.
Was it? Yeah, it's this interesting thing where it is something that people have wanted. Yes, the PS3's infrastructure is really, really strange, and that has been the whole reason we've been given for years why that's not possible, because we do have PlayStation 1, 2, and 4 backwards compatibility where they're able to do that. But 3 has been this thing where, like, if you want to play a PlayStation 3 game, it's either had to been totally remastered and remade for the new console, or you've got to pull out the PlayStation 3 to be able to play it. So if this is true, which it could be, it would be an awesome little boon for Sony. It would make a lot of people happy, and hearing this kind of stuff, and like, yes, it probably was talked about while Jim Ryan was there, but getting this once Jim Ryan is gone and it's like actually consumer first thinking, I think is a really cool thing. But again, this is also going to be a moneymaker for Sony. Is it going to be a huge moneymaker? I don't think so, but I think it will move some bottom line stuff, because when Xbox announced like total backwards compat, people were stoked about it. So I think this is them trying to fix something that was a hole in the wall, essentially. So
for sure,
I'm definitely excited for this. I think this is a good move, and get those infamous games that are stuck on there
Yeah,
as well.
because I know Second Son and First Light were good, but they didn't have that je ne sais quoi that the first two did,
Hmm.
so playing those again would be great.
Yeah, 100%. So, Derek, it's time for the PlayStation Quickies. Let's do it.
So first off, the Sony Rewards program is coming to an end on December 31st of this year. Microsoft is, quote, really pleased with the reception of Sea of Thieves on PS5, so that may spell good things for later down the road and more of their IP. So keep them buying, guys. Minecraft is finally getting a native PS5 version. Weird because you would think Minecraft would already have that. Stellar Blade Roadmap confirms photo mode and large scale IP collab for 2024. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus is PS Plus Premium's most popular classic game. PS Plus free games for July have been announced. These are both all three are going to come to the PS5 and PS4. You got Borderlands 3, NHL 24, and Among Us. Sony offers free Astrobot avatars for PSN. Astrobot reportedly took 3 years to make with a 60 strong dev team. Naughty Dog vet Lee Davis has returned to the studio after 4 years away from it. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 Venom voice actor Tony Todd hints at possible new game with Yuri Lowenthal. And then lastly, Insomniac is, quote, busy with Wolverine, so don't expect a Sunset Overdrive remaster anytime soon.
This just hit me. We
Yeah.
talked, I think, Blue Point last week or the week before. I can't remember when. What if Blue Point is doing a sequel to Sunset Overdrive because they said
Ooh.
that they're working on a new game, not a remaster?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't think it's the best decision, to be honest, but hearing that from Insomniac, I'm like, that would be interesting because it was an Xbox One game, but Insomniac has the rights to it. So it would technically be owned by PlayStation at this point.
Yeah. And it's weird that they would come up, but I know it's coming up on the game's 10th anniversary. So I guess it would make sense, but also at the same time, it's weird that they would just out of the blue mention this. So yeah, I don't know. It's a good thing. Like I know the game was like a critical hit. Like it wasn't like it wasn't gangbusters, but it was one of those like stealth hits wherever it was like people were just like, oh, have you played this? This is actually a fun game, type deal. So I don't know. Again, Blue Point's wording is a beloved franchise, so I don't know how beloved Sunset Overdrive is.
Yeah, true. And I feel like Sunset Overdrive, like it did well, but probably because like there was nothing else on the console at that point in time.
Correct.
So,
and if it did as well as they thought, Xbox would have greenlit a sequel.
yeah, 100%. Derek, it's time for the Patreon Quick Hits. The Patreon Quick Hits are brought to you by our wonderful patrons. Go support the Nerd Cave by getting your very own Nerd Cave membership to help us continue to make awesome shows like this one. Become part of the ship, part of the crew at patreon.com/nerdcave. Now for the Patreon Quick Hits.
Starting off with a sour note, Embracer Group looks to, quote, massively enhance game development with new AI policy. The hits just keep on coming. New Red Faction game was reportedly in the works at Embracer prior to layoffs. Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition to feature new mission with narrative link to Beyond Good and Evil 2. Following that, Ubisoft has reassured fans that yes, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still in development. Please just kill it. Like, just no, who cares at this point? Like, please just stop. New Elden Ring patch adds hairstyles, new inventory features, balance adjustments, and more. Following that, the new update for Elden Ring reveals balancing for Shadow of the Erdtree. This goes back to earlier what Zach was alluding to, that people are kind of complaining that Shadow of the Erdtree is way too hard, and now I guess they're kind of fixing that as they go along. Hidetaka Miyazaki would consider making a traditional JRPG, but it wouldn't be related to Enchanted Arms, which I'm assuming is a IP that they worked on early back in the day. Some more Miyazaki sayings. Miyazaki says lowering Elden Ring's difficulty would, quote, break the game itself. He also says 95% of what he does at From Software is direct games. He also says there's, quote, interest in adapting From Software's fantasy epic. In other words, like maybe make an Elden Ring TV show, movie, anime, whatever. If they want to adapt something from Elden Ring, that he's on board with it. Tango Gameworks closure possibly due to change in leadership, hints Xbox's Matt Booty. Ahead of Dragon Age: The Veilguard's release, the entire Dragon Age series is on sale for $10 combined. Fortnite Reload is a new mode with a new map, endless revives, classic elements, and no vehicles. Antstream Arcade, the retro gaming subservice, is heading to iPhones next week. Diablo 4 Season 5 will unleash Infernal Hordes, a wave-based roguelike mode. The Street Fighter movie from 1994 is still making a ton of money every year. Random. RE2 Remake is the best-selling entry in the series with over 13.9 million sales. Dragon Ball The Breakers Season 6 is out now and brings new Raider and Survivor skins. Didn't even know this game was still getting support, but cool, I guess. Brutal Stardew Valley mod obliterates your farm if you open the wiki. Mortal Kombat 1 data miner unearths what looks like the next 6 DLC characters. Sega allegedly makes Jet Set Radio remake as screenshots and gameplay surface. Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed release date has been set for September 24th, and somehow it has a $200 collector's edition. Go off, I guess. Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, swells to 154 with newly announced expanded edition. Surgeon Simulator IP has been acquired by Atari publishing label Infogrames. Dead by Daylight reveals Tomb Raider collab coming July 16th. Street Fighter 6 welcomes M. Bison as Year 2 DLC kicks off. Dead Rising is returning from the grave on modern platforms with a deluxe remaster. Marvel Rivals closed beta will run from July 23rd to August 5th, and registration is now open. Thirsty Suitors joins Netflix Games roster, and The Case of the Golden Idol and more are now available. Cattle Country reveal trailer promises a sim game that Stardew Valley meets the Wild West. Steam is getting built-in game recording, and it'll work on Steam Deck also. Valve reveals that 59% of Steam players use Xbox controllers along with other stats. Obsidian once again was asked about Skyrim comparison for Avowed, but it points to it being more like Outer Worlds. Bethesda Game Studios Montreal is the latest studio to unionize. Forza Horizon 4 will be delisted from digital stores on December 15th. Viking Era Tactics game Norse announced for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Street Fighter movie, another one in the works, not the 94 version, gets a March 20th, 2026 release date, despite reportedly losing directors. And lastly, Steam World Heist 2 unannounced for Game Pass, as PR says logo was a mistake.
Some interesting stuff in there, Derek.
Yeah.
Like with Obsidian, like I know people are trying to compare it to Skyrim, but like I don't feel like that is like the whole time I've seen it. I'm like, this is going to be like Outer Worlds. Like that's how I felt, just because of like their humor.
Right. And I mean, it's not just because Obsidian also did Outer World. It's just because, again, like you said, it's a rumor. It's the humor, and it's also just like the aesthetic of it. Like it feels like they're just like two connected worlds. Just one's a magic fantasy, the other one's a space fantasy.
Yeah. And then the Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, like I was looking at this story earlier this week. There's like a 23 centimeter like Mickey statue. That's why it like it's so much. And I'm like, 200's a lot. And I know like inflation and all that is a thing, but I'm like, 200's a lot. Like I remember back in the heyday where I was buying like, you know, every other month some sort of like legendary edition of a game.
Me too.
And yeah, it's like I don't remember them being like, I think the most expensive one was like 150. And again, I know inflation, but they were at least something dope, like a Master Chief helmet, or you know, all the squad from Halo Reach, or Marcus Phoenix, or you know, something that I definitely want. Not you know, where you could literally go get a Mickey Mouse plush for like half that price.
Well, and it's again, go off, I guess. But at the same time, it's like, it's not just the price point. It's the fact that this is a remaster of a game that came out on the Wii.
Yep.
On the Wii. And I know it got a sequel, But it's like, how many people are like really caring? And again, it's Disney. It's got Mickey slapped on it. I get it. They're trying to capitalize as much on the naming as they are. But at the same time, it's like, not only is it an old game, but who cares about, like, are there really that many people that are going to buy this $200? Are there really that much of a rabid fan base for it rebrushed?
I think they're going to make a limited amount of them, which that usually is the case with, the pre-orders kind of dictate some of that. But I think this is their play at getting that Switch base of tons of kids playing those consoles. Same thing with, Lego Horizon. Like, it going to Switch is all about getting the younger base there into this game, and Disney knows what it's doing. The whole Dreamlight Valley was a way to get people into that, and then the other
Magic Illusion
and everything. So they have their problems in the theaters, but I feel like Disney's doing a little bit better in the gaming industry. You look at Spider-Man, like how well that game is sold and everything. It's got some interesting stuff for sure. But that does it, guys. That is the episode for this week. We hope that you enjoyed it. Again, Saturday, we're going to be doing Eat Sleep Anime at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time. You can go over right now, get a free membership, and get to watch the episode totally free for 2 weeks. If you want to go over there and support us, it is much appreciated because it keeps the lights and the mics on. We'll be going live at 12 p.m. Central Time Saturday. We're going to be talking about tons of anime, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. This has been Zach.
And Sir Elian of Rottingham.
Rottingham or Reddingham?
Reddingham, excuse me. I was at least in the ballpark.
He's from Rottingham, guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. We love y'all. Bye-bye.